EV fire extinguished after 3 hours, 15 injured, over 100 evacuated as an electric vehicle caught fire while it was charging and filled the parking lot with smoke. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to buy a cheap electric car? The answer is yes, isn't it? If it wasn't cheap, you wouldn't buy it. You'd buy a nice car because they're better. They suit everybody. Tell me somebody whose needs they don't suit. Electric vehicles don't suit everybody. There'll always be that one occasion where your electric vehicle will be a compromise. With ICE cars, they're perfect for everybody. This was by Kim Jun-ho, and it was on the 29th of the 10th, 2025. They've put an illustration of an apartment on fire, so it says multi-family housing, not too accurate, so I'll put it in, but don't take any notice of that. A fire broke out in an electric vehicle that was charging at an office tel in Changan and was extinguished after 3 hours. Over 100 residents were evacuated urgently, and 15 people were transported to hospitals due to smoke inhalation. Fortunately, there were no serious injuries. But just remember, our government have given planning permission for an EV bus charging station beneath a massive residential block of flats. I think 400 people live there. And our government have sanctioned electric buses to charge underneath it. Everybody else in the world is stopping EVs charging in underground car parks. Our dipshit government, no, it's all right. Let's move the chargers out from underneath the Houses of Parliament. But you people out there, you know, that we care about and we're trying to look after, and you people that we're trying to make the country better for you, you can burn. You can burn. Don't worry. You can suffer smoke inhalation that damages your lungs. And one of the firefighters that was treated after a very, very short exposure to these fumes, a kind of oily substance coming out of his skin, what does it do to you?
So the firefighters that were injured in this particular case, the symptoms include reduced lung function down to 81% in one case following a brisk 300-foot walk, which was all the officer could manage, sinus infection, elevated heart rate, mouth blisters which popped and turned into lesions, and tachycardia. One officer underwent a cupping treatment which produced oil residue on back and chest. The medical treatments to date have had little positive effect. Can I remind you that the fire was out, they weren't wearing breathing apparatus. All of a sudden, the vehicle discharged a cloud of smoke. They were only exposed for a few seconds, and this is the damage it did to them. Imagine this vehicle going up in your garage. As a follow-on to this story, Susan Nickel, October the 2nd, 2025. Exposure to Tesla battery fumes sidelines Sacramento, CA firefighters. 4 Sacramento firefighters have been undergoing experimental IV therapy since the April incident. They're still not back at work. 4 Sacramento firefighters are undergoing experimental therapy following being exposed to a Tesla EV battery several months ago. The IV-infused procedure is an effort to remove the heavy metals from their lungs and bloodstreams, Captain Justin Sylvia told KCRA. We've never had anyone off related to any type of lithium-ion battery fire. This is the first, he said. Sylvia explained that the firefighters weren't wearing SCBA, I'm assuming means self-contained breathing apparatus, because the fire was out and they were in clean-up mode. He now urges crews to stay on air while on the scene of electric vehicle battery fires. But what about bystanders? What about the driver that's there by the side of his car waiting to see what happens? What about bystanders? What about Instagrammers who will be there with the cameras waiting to post it, unaware of the danger? A very low-lying white cloud, as it was described by those members, came across them. They immediately had a metallic taste in their mouth. one of the chemicals in those batteries, once it hits water, it turns to an acid. Once you split that series of batteries, that's when it becomes dangerous, because it can short circuit and get into that thermal runaway and become very unpredictable on its own. These EVs are something that is new to us. We really need to look at what the best practice on fighting these fires and not becoming a victim ourselves.
I give up. I really do give up. If it was anything else, they would stop it. But there is such a push on electric vehicles, it doesn't seem to matter how much it costs, how many people lose their jobs. And I don't understand why. Just let them sell to people who want them. Don't force people to have them. And you can say, oh, you can still buy petrol. No, well, you can, but there's different ways of forcing people to buy things. You can pay for it, you've got to have it, and that's the retail price. You've got to buy it. Well, people haven't got the money, so that force wouldn't work. They're doing it in a way that electric vehicle prices are coming down so low, and that, again, these EV people, they put it across as a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's cheaper to run a car that doesn't depreciate than buy one that's depreciated a fortune. Sooner or later, people, if you're getting cheap used vehicles, the only person who's lost is the first owner. The first owner isn't stupid. He hasn't got all that money to be able to afford a new car by being stupid. He won't buy one. So then there won't be any new cars for you to get cheap second-hand ones. You know, they just won't. So when you see people like the editor of Parker's Guide saying it's a good thing, depreciation's a good thing, cheap used cars, when you see things like the Climate Intelligence Unit saying, good, prices are coming down, that's what the ZEV mandate was. No, it wasn't. It wasn't to force prices down. It was to get people to change to electric vehicles, not because of cost. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to buy a cheap electric car? The answer is yes, isn't it? You want to buy it to save money. If it wasn't cheap, you wouldn't buy it. You'd buy a nice car because they're better. They suit everybody. Tell me somebody whose needs they don't suit. I'll wait. No? Because they suit everybody. Electric vehicles don't suit everybody. There'll always be that one occasion where your electric vehicle will be a compromise. There isn't with ICE cars. They're perfect for everybody. According to the Changan Fire Department on the 29th, the fire occurred around 6:06 a.m. in an 11-storey, 150 household office tel in wherever that is. We'll just say Changan again. Again, this is a translation, so the fire's thought to have started in a domestically produced electric vehicle in the B2 parking lot. Fire authorities arrived at the scene 4 minutes after receiving a resident's report of a bang. Over 100 office-tel residents, startled by the early morning fire, evacuated urgently. 15 residents who inhaled smoke were taken to nearby hospitals. Most of them were reported to have minor injuries. One firefighter injured a finger during extinguishing operations and received treatment. He was EV drivers and somebody all injured are said to be in stable condition, apart from the fireman with one finger. Fire authorities mobilised 28 units of equipment and 115 personnel to extinguish the fire. One EV, bringing the main blaze under control around 7:17 a.m. and completing the operation at 9:11 a.m. The fire is thought to have originated from an electric vehicle in the B2 parking lot. Police confirmed that the vehicle had been charging since around 7 p.m. So They put it on charge at 7 p.m. and it set fire at 6 o'clock the next morning. And that was the previous day when they put it on charge. Fortunately, there were no other parked vehicles around the burning car, so the fire did not spread to other vehicles. According to fire authorities, the Officetel's fire safety manager heard a bang, went to the scene and reported the vehicle fire to 119. When the fire broke out, the surrounding area, including the Officetel's underground parking lot, filled with thick black smoke, complicating extinguishing efforts. Fire authorities plan to investigate the exact cause of the fire, the extent of the damage after clearing all smoke and conducting a search. Police also plan to conduct on-site forensic investigations with a National Forensic Service to determine the exact cause of the fire. Hyundai are to recall more than 180,000. You know, if that's not bad enough, can you just think that one car has set on fire and caused all that damage, all those people hurt, the fireman's finger hurt, and then the next, on October the 30th, 2025, Hyundai to recall more than 180,000 cars due to defects. South Korea's government said on Thursday that more than 260,000 cars will be recalled due to manufacturing defects, including over 180,000 by Hyundai Motor Group. This is a story from Reuters. A total of 260,184 vehicles across 57 models manufactured, imported or sold by Hyundai Motor, Kia, BMW Korea and Stellantis Korea will be voluntarily recalled due to identified manufacturing defects, the Ministry of Land and Transport said in a statement. Hyundai Motor will recall 85,355 units of the Porter 2 electric model from October 30th due to a potential fire risk caused by a design flaw in the battery management software system, the ministry said. It's also added that Kia, a subsidiary of Hyundai Motors, will begin recalling 54,532 units of the Bongo 3 EV model from October the 30th for the same software defect that could lead to fires. Other recall models from Hyundai Motors include the Tucson, which was recalled due to a design flaw in the fuel filter, and Kia's Seltos, which was recalled over a similar defect that could cause the engine to shut down. That's bad, but at least it's not going to set fire in your garage, and that's the difference between a nice vehicle and an electric one. When there's anything wrong with the electric one and it's in the battery, holy hell lets loose. Not so much. As I say, it's still not good with ice cars, but you know, it's not so bad. It's not as bad. We're storing up a lot of trouble for the future. I dread to think if we ever get to 80% electric vehicles and there's a fire anywhere in an enclosed space, in an underground, you know, in the Eurotunnel. We know what happens now when it's on a ship, a ferry. There's no hope for it. It's going down. They can't put it out. It melts the side of the boat even, and it just ends up at the bottom of the ocean in Davy Jones's locker. An electric vehicle battery fire last year damaged hundreds of vehicles and created a national panic, with car parks across South Korea imposing a wave of ad hoc restrictions amid growing calls for transparency on battery supply chains. South Korea is a major producer of batteries and electric vehicles, including local car makers Hyundai and Kia, with EVs making up 9.3% of new cars purchased last year. Baz, that's in South Korea. It doesn't happen in the UK. Mum's new electric Audi quarantined after battery fault posed major fire risk. Mum Sarah had been driving around in the car with her two kids, unaware of the risk from the lithium battery. Stories from Amanda Keenan and Samantha Kroll, 28th of October, the Daily Record. Sarah was left paying for a vehicle she couldn't use. Her mum has been left furious after a new electric Audi had to be quarantined as a faulty battery left it at risk of bursting into flames. Sarah and Ian Brand purchased the Audi e-tron from the dealership, but the engine warning light came on. They're very lucky. Did they insist on a battery state of health certificate, or did they just take the dealer's word for it? As the car was still under warranty, it was taken to Audi Glasgow, where the couple say They were told it had to be taken off the road. It was then placed in a Q container system to prevent the lithium battery from erupting into flames. Do you remember when we used to put ICE vehicles in these Q containers to stop? Oh no, never happened, did it? We've got a whole new world of problems with these EVs. And we're just storing up trouble for the future. If you can't see it, then I'm sorry for you. If you're prepared to put your family at risk by charging your electric vehicle in your garage, I mean, it's bad enough up the drive. Even then, I think some insurance companies are insisting that it's got to be so far away from the house, which, you know, will probably end up with little Timmy riding up your drive on his bike and getting bloody garroted by a charging cable because you've got to park your car so far away for your insurance to remain in force. It's, you know, I just can't see how anybody with a family would buy an EV. Can you imagine driving along the road and you've got, you know, disabled people getting a car on Motability, and whether they are forced into buying an EV or not, I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. But they get an EV because they're not being forced, you've got to buy this, but they're so cheap, they're getting such a massive discount that they can get what looks on paper like a better car for the same amount of money. That usually happens when the car you're buying is very desirable and it doesn't depreciate. So because you're on a lease or a PCP or contract hire, you're only paying off depreciation, a bit of profit and interest. Because the leasing company knows that when that car comes back, he's going to put it in the auction and people like me will be bidding over a book to buy it. But not so with EVs. What happens there is they get such a massive discount from the manufacturers because they've got to get rid of these EVs. So they get, in some cases, they get 2 for the price of 1. With vans, they get 3 for the price of 1. Some, not all, some. So it's a cheap lease. But how cheap does it have to be to put your family in danger? What happens if, say for instance, you're in an accident and you hit the curb and your car sets on fire with your family in? What happens if you're just a bit dazed and you don't immediately think, Christ, I'm in an EV, everybody out, out, back doors, out, child locks, back seats, kids can't get out until you let them? It just doesn't bear thinking about. Just wait till the next story. Sarah from Clydebank, Scotland said, we were driving around in the car with our 2 children inside, completely oblivious to the fact that it was a major fire risk. It was only when the engine warning light came on that we found out just how serious the situation actually was. The shocked couple were told that the vehicle was deemed such high risk that it would take around 4 weeks before engineers could go near the car to begin working on it. Sarah added, it was placed in quarantine and we were left paying for a vehicle that we couldn't use. We thought at first, it's only a month, it will be fine, and we trusted the garage to get on with fixing the issue as swiftly as possible. But weeks soon turned into months and the family were forced to escalate the matter to industry watchdogs. The couple say it was only after raising a complaint with the motor ombudsman that work was eventually finished on the vehicle. The couple were told that Audi technicians had opened the battery and carried out further tests which showed all 3 components needed to be removed, meaning the battery cell module and lid had to be replaced. Primary school teacher Sarah, 39, said, now this potential time bomb, she's a primary school teacher, so it was parked at a primary school. What could possibly go wrong with an accident that's looking for somewhere to happen, like this Audi, at a primary school, where your kids go, you drop your kids off at the morning, you expect them to come home at night, don't you? It really makes me sick. Would you risk your child's life in an EV? That once they go up, imagine having a baby in the back seat, in a child seat. You've got to get to that child seat. I helped somebody put a 3-year-old in a child seat in the back of a car. It was bad enough when it was raining. I got soaked. Imagine if there's flames shooting out from underneath the car while you're trying to get them out. Primary school teacher Sarah, 39, said, weeks came and went. We had to keep sending emails asking for updates, and each time there was something different. Would you want to be the mechanic working on a vehicle that's had to be quarantined for 4 weeks? Would you want to do it? You see, I heard a rumour ages ago, and I can't get anybody to substantiate it, that a BMW mechanic was hurt badly with life-changing injuries working on a battery. Never seen anything, never seen any stories, but I got it from a very, very good source. Why would you want to go to work? You know, I mean, working on an EV battery that's damaged is akin to being a bomb disposal expert in the army. Do you get paid enough to work on a damaged EV battery? Do you get protective clothing? Do you get an asbestos suit? Because if you don't, then I'm sorry, but your employer, if anything happens to you, has to be liable. It's a foreseeable consequence that you could get badly burnt. I see, you know, people giving the wrong idea. Cleveland Autos putting, you know, updating batteries on this and leaves. If there's anything wrong, we just put another cell in it, and they stood there. I think one of them's got rubber gloves. I'll try and find the photo. We just put another cell in. You know, that's giving totally the wrong ideas to people. What if people then think, oh, I can do this at home. I can't afford to take it to Cleveland Autos. I'll do it myself on my drive. Get some rubber gloves. People need to know the truth, and they need to know what dangers they're facing with these electric cars. I have to say, you know, my little Citroen Ami now, I'm looking at it in a totally different way, and I'm also looking in it at a way that if anything happens in it, now I'm only, you know, maximum speed's 28 miles an hour, but if anything happens in it, I can't jump out. If it's on fire, I can't jump out. Do you know why I can't? The passenger can. I can't, because my door opens that way. The Citroen Ami, the front and the back's the same, the doors are the same, which means that one door opens that way and the other door opens the other way. The passenger can just chuck themselves out as it's still going. I can't, unless I can run at 29 miles an hour and my legs start going before I even touch the ground. It's a worry. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.